Hey there, I'm Jama, and over the past few years, I've become very interested in onomatology, the study of names. I've never really liked my name until I researched the meaning of it. My name means paradigm shifter, and I'd like to shift your paradigm by shining a light on onomatology and how it can potentially help you find your purpose, help you communicate better with others, or even both. In each episode, I ask someone 8 basic questions regarding their first name. So sit back, relax, and try to shift your paradigm with this next episode. So, in today's episode, I am looking forward to this conversation. I met this person through a mutual podcaster, and I don't really know too much about him, but I'm excited to learn more. So, welcome to the podcast, William.
This is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Aw.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
it's going to be a lot of fun. So, ready to fire away, answer whatever questions you got, the whole bit.
Awesome. Great. Well, yeah, I
Sure.
do have the 8 questions. I do want to give my listeners just a little bit of information, whatever you're
Sure.
comfortable with sharing about
Yeah,
who you are and where
sure.
you're podcasting from.
So, podcasting from Arlington, Texas, about 2 miles from AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play, which in the World Cup they call Dallas Stadium, which it's not in Dallas. It's not even in Dallas County, but that's okay. We have 9 matches here locally. So it's cool because I'm actually wearing a Deutschland German World Cup shirt. This is our away jersey. Um,
Mm.
I love football. So football in the sense that 6 billion people use the word football, not the American football, handball.
Mhm.
So so Arlington, Texas. I've grown up in Texas. My ancestry has Texas roots as well for fighting for the Republic of Texas. So kind of have Texas. Can not sure, not sure I can leave. There are prettier places in the United States, no doubt, but this is the place that I know, and my kids grew up here and all that stuff. And we are recording on my 32nd wedding anniversary.
Oh,
So
congrats. Wow, that's awesome.
32 years ago, my wife Michael, we got married in Birmingham. So
Oh, wow.
now a little bit about me. 3 degrees, bachelor's, 2 masters, got out, wanted to be an entrepreneur, built a web development agency in the 90s, sold it, built an ad agency for a decade, sold my equity to my business partner, then did user adoption consulting for a couple of years, basically helping people both on the practitioner side and the vendor side get people to use software. So if anybody has any questions about that, pretty good there. Then opened up a market research firm with John Sumser. We did that for about 2 years, also with some consulting in there. And then I worked for Recruiting Daily as their president because I wanted to learn media, especially new media, as opposed to old media. And then let's see, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, my business partner Ryan Leary and I started Work to Find, a podcast network for all shows that are about work on some level, a level or another. And we started with 5 shows, and we're at about 105 shows now.
Wow.
So the growth's been really wonderful because podcasting, I've been podcasting since '08. Podcasting can be a lonely venture. It's just you and your guest or whatever your bit is. Everybody does something a little bit different. And then
Yeah.
then there's some type of production and then there's some type of social, like all that is relatively lonely. So to
Yeah.
have a community and have other people that you can kind of bounce ideas off of, it's kind of nice. So
I love
that's it.
that. Love what you're
Anything
doing.
in anything in HR tech, because my ad agency, the weird thing about that was we helped vendors sell to recruiting and HR.
Hmm.
So we only worked with the success factors and workdays and SAPs of the world to sell into. So that's how I actually fell in love with HR. So I did it as
Awesome.
a partner in an ad agency. Um, I never worked at desk. Like there is a difference when somebody kind of comes up as a recruiter, they work at a staffing agency, executive search, RPO. in-house as a corporate recruiter or in-house as HR. They're the HR manager, etc. I never did any of that.
Hmm.
I just did it as from an agency perspective. So I would run payroll. I ran the internship program. I did, all of that stuff.
Wow.
So I got to kind of dabble in HR,
Hmm.
but as we learn more and more about the buyer and what they respond to from a marketing perspective, I fell in love with HR. And so when I sold my equity to my business partner Brett Starr, um, it was purposeful because I wanted to get out of marketing. I'm a recovering marketer. I wanted to get out of marketing because I fell in love with the HR practitioners and recruiters. Uh, and so since then, I mean, that was probably '06. So yeah, a long time in the industry.
Okay.
So
Great.
I know the vendor community really well, and I spent a portion of my life speaking. So if anybody's got any questions about the circuit, if you will,
Hmm.
I've done the global circuit. So
Okay.
speaking in Singapore, India, Germany, or wherever you're thinking about, it it's a there's a method to it. You gotta start somewhere,
Yeah.
and then there's a certain process that you go through. And if you want to speak at Indiana SHRM or HR Southwest or even SHRM Annual or SHRM Talent or something like that, there's a process,
Hmm.
and it's easier to write a book these days than it was, pre ChatGPT, etc. So I think the more people write books, the better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the consumption of books like that. I'd love to see the study of that as we increase the amount of books. Are we increasing literacy? Are we
Mm.
increasing the amount of books that people are consuming? We have a show on Work to Find, and it's called the Recruiting Book Club. It's Carmen Hudson. She's out of Seattle. She's been a talent acquisition consultant all her life. She's worked at Starbucks, at Microsoft, at Amazon, like name it, she's done it.
Wow.
And her whole bit on the show is she reads talent acquisition books
Hmm.
and then she interviews the author.
Oh, cool. I
That's
like
the
that.
bit. So like
Nice.
I think that's a shortcut. So if you want to learn TA, go and listen. I think she does about 8 episodes a season. But she reads the book
Okay.
and then interviews the author. And so if you want to learn recruiting, like
Yeah.
kind of hack it a little bit, that'd be a podcast I'd subscribe to because
Nice.
she's doing the work, and
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit more interesting to kind of hear from the author, what they were trying to achieve in their book and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Great. And I'll
all
put
good.
your information in the body of this podcast episode
Cool.
so that people can reach out if needed.
Please do.
Okay.
Feel free to.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, that was some great information. I am going to now pivot to focus just on your first name. Before I continue with this episode, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by the Intentional Leader Network. If you're ready to grow as a leader but don't want to do it alone, this is for you. As a member of this virtual leadership network, I feel more confident in my leadership abilities and have skills I can draw from as I continue to grow in my leadership roles. If you are looking to grow intentionally in your leadership skills, I encourage you to subscribe and grow alongside me and a wonderful community of leaders. To join, check out the link in the show notes and start leading more intentionally today.
Okay.
And I am excited because I have not interviewed anyone with your name yet.
Okay.
And you think I would have because it's kind of a common name, a
Yeah.
popular name.
There were kings named William. Come on.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
prince named William.
Good point. A future king. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm actually fascinated by that. I want to see that whole process happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Charles
we'll
Charles
start
will live to be 120, so it'll be a while before he becomes king, but
for
still.
sure. Yeah, I am curious. Before I brought up my podcast to
Mhm.
you, did you
Yeah.
know what your first name actually meant?
Not at all. Not a clue. I knew so this is just it's my dad's name, my
Okay.
father's name. So his name is William uh Everett Tin Cup. It was supposed to be Evitts because that was going to be the other, but my grandfather who was loaded at the time, changed it to Everett.
Okay.
So his middle name to Everett. Everett means nothing. Like there's no reference. There's no. He just said it's a good Indian name. And so like my dad grew up with this name, middle name of like means nothing, attached to nothing, etc. So
Okay.
yeah, but that's where we got William, or my mom and dad. That's where they got William, was from my dad.
Mhm. Okay. And did you do any research? Do you know any more about it, or do you want me to tell you the
Yeah, no,
definition that
tell
I
me.
have?
Definition, bring it.
Okay. So the name William kind of has two meanings.
Okay.
The first one is resolute protector. The other one is strong-willed warrior.
Oof.
And it derives from German roots, very popular, made popular and known from William the Conqueror in
Yeah.
1066. You know, there's Shakespeare, Wordsworth, Prince William, Bill Gates, I guess if you want to pull that from William. So you've got some pretty notable people there with that name,
Yeah.
and it says since the 1900s, this name William has been consistently used and popularized in the top 20 of US boy names. So
Right.
that is the information that I have found. I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts on that.
So William the Conqueror, I've studied that little section of history, and he was not a nice guy. So but then again, in that era, nice guys didn't win.
Yeah.
There's a whole period of the Dark Ages and after the Dark Ages where nice guys got murdered. That's just kind of how that played out. Um, so I knew about him, but I didn't know it's the German roots. That must be Wilhelm,
Mm-hmm.
is where that's coming from. That's
Yep.
interesting. I don't have German roots or DNA that tracks back to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It all tracks back to the UK, Scotland,
Okay.
England, uh, the British, and a little bit of Sweden, etc. So I don't have any German roots, but
Mm-hmm.
I like their football team, so
Yeah.
their country team. So, but yeah, Wilhelm, that
What do
would
you
make
think about protector and warrior?
both those fit me to a T, because I
Yeah.
am, I'm one of those people that like my middle brother Joel. He has a lot of friends. Like at his funeral, there'll be hundreds upon hundreds. I'll have 5 people there. I'm that person where I'm fiercely protective of those around me,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have a lot of people around me.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I'm okay with that. I've always been
Yeah.
okay with that. And I'm okay with my brother being different in that way. Like it's not a competition. It's just who you
Yeah.
are. Fiercely competitive, not competitive, but I take care of the people that take care of me. So
That's
that,
great.
yes. War, 100%. So that goes back to also Cherokee mythology and the clan that I'm a part of.
Okay.
And it was a warrior clan. And so in Cherokee
Wow.
society, there's a piece during this is pre-contact, so not everything since contact, but pre-contact, there was a chief that was in charge of peace, and there was a chief that was in charge of war. So you
Okay.
were at peace or at war, 6, 7. You're either at one of those. And so I knew it could be male or female, didn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but my clan always was a wartime clan. And this is
Interesting.
so, yeah, war. And I think it's some of the personality of, I always think of the worst case scenario and I'm always on the defensive. Like when I
Hmm.
drive, I'm on the defensive.
Interesting.
Uh, I'm I don't fight. I mean, I'm too old to really kind of fist fight anymore, but I used to fight. I used to fight a lot because back then there was nothing else to do. That's all there was. I lived in kind of a rural kind of area in Texas, and we got bussed
Mhm.
into another town, and like there just wasn't a lot to do.
Yeah.
So you'd get in a fight for no reason. Like somebody wore a blue shirt. Okay, well let's get it in a fight. Like there literally was nothing else to do. So I'm
That's
jealous
very
of
good.
the generations that they have things to do.
Yeah.
They probably have too much. things aimed at them. But we didn't back then. We didn't have anything aimed at us. It's like you played sports, check,
Yeah.
um, and you fought. So like not gonna say I won everything. I didn't lose everything, but yeah, I was down for a fight.
Yeah.
That
So
all the way
interesting.
into my early 20s until really I met my wife. At
Okay.
that point, I kind of grew up. Like, okay, maybe I don't have to fight at this bar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe I
So I
don't
think
need to send someone to the hospital or get sent to the hospital.
yeah, no. So I take it you like the meaning of your name.
I do. I do. It tracks.
Okay,
It absolutely tracks.
great. And you said that you're a junior, you got your name from your dad. Is there any other
I-
story that you want or more information you want to reveal about how your parents chose your name or why they chose your name?
Not a junior because I have a different last name. I mean, not last name. I have a different middle name,
Okay.
and so we never went with a junior. I don't
Okay.
know. My parents just didn't care. So he went by different names through his life. He went by different names. So
Okay.
W.E. William Everett, Bill, Will. Like at different points in his career, he just went by different. I mean, all variations of William,
Mhm.
but all kinds of different variations. And so when I was probably coming of age, he was Will
Mhm.
or W.E. And so, like, there was never a conflict like, "Who are we talking to?" No, it was
Yeah.
me. No one ever, my family or otherwise, no one has ever shortened my name. Like
Mhm.
like, like, "Well, let's call you Will or Billy," or, any of the Bill,
Yeah.
no one's ever done that. They've asked, and then after
Mhm.
I've said, "No, it's William, we're good."
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Pretty solid.
Just William. It's too easy to spell.
Yeah.
Um, but I've never gone by anything shorter.
Okay.
I've and I think some of that's a reaction to my father. Like,
Hmm.
because he went through all those phases, I'm like, "Yeah, I don't need to do that, I'm good."
Gotcha. Okay. Nice.
Yep.
Well, have you ever, like, thinking about from being a kid up into adulthood, have you ever had the thought cross your mind, I wish I had a different name? Or have you always liked your name?
I've always liked my name because it was tied to my dad. My dad
Mm,
was a hero, my mom and dad. So,
I love that.
had really good relations with both my parents. Now, there's a story there. I have
Yeah.
2 older brothers. Now, mind you,
Okay.
this was in the '70s. They ran through my parents. So by the time I was 6 years younger than my middle brother. By the time I came along, they were beaten. They were absolutely just beaten. So it was, it was easier to be a kid. I had an easier row because they'd already got bailed them out of jail, bailed them out of car accidents, like done all that stuff. They didn't have to do any of that stuff with me.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't do things to get arrested. I did. They've very infrequently they had to deal with that because I learned a game from my brothers. I learned how not to
Yeah.
get caught. So
Gotcha.
never really even thought about going by a different name or thinking about a different name because I liked it because it was my dad's,
Yeah.
and he was a tough, like just that era of men, and again, kind of the men of the 50s because he was
Hmm.
136. It's kind of that old kind of paradigm. Women did this, men did this. Okay, very static. Um, and they both, my mom and my dad both did that. So my mom took care of the kids and she worked too. But my dad went to college, got a degree first in his family, the entire family to get a college degree. And he worked. The interesting part, they're both passed, but the interesting part is my mom was a reader, 6, 7 books a week, like,
Wow.
consumed books. So
Mm.
her knowledge of the world far exceeded my dad's.
Mm.
And if the times were different, my mother would have went to college and my
Yeah.
dad would have worked, and it would have been completely different. But
Yeah.
my father never went to the hospital until he died. Never
Wow.
went to the hospital. Not because he didn't have things going on. He just worked through it. Like,
Yeah.
hard-headed in a
Yeah.
sense. but he could do things like a 4-inch nail. If you've ever had a 4-inch nail, it's a long kind of a nail that goes through 2x4s. He could stroke a 4-inch nail with one hit.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Try that someday. Just take out
Yeah.
a 4-inch nail.
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Gotcha.
And he we worked, we did stuff every Saturday.
Mm.
Every Saturday we were in the garage doing something, painting a fence,
Mm.
planting something, just doing something. So I was always, and again, I'm younger than my brothers, so they did stuff, but then I was alone with them.
Yeah.
So I got
That's
to
pretty
do stuff.
special.
Yeah, I got to spend a lot of time with them. Last thing on him is we were living in Birmingham at the time. I'd moved out for about 5 years, moved back in with my parents to go to college,
Mhm.
and my dad comes home one day from work and he goes, "Yeah, I'm done with that. I'm not gonna do that anymore."
Yeah.
And my mom and I are like, "Yeah, and what?" He's like, "Yeah, I've already put in my notice. I'm gonna go back to school. I want to teach. I want to teach kids with learning disabilities." He was
Mm.
in his late 50s, maybe early 60s.
Oh,
Like he
wow.
just decided, "Yeah, I'm done with that." And I asked him
Wow.
later, I'm like, "What was the bit? Like, why'd you do that?" And he said, "We had a meeting to talk about the next meeting." And
Mm.
he goes, "It just broke me. I couldn't do it
Yeah.
anymore." And I'm like, "Okay." So I keep that on my radar of
Mm.
if we ever have a meeting to talk about the next meeting, it's like, "Okay, I'm I'll find a way to get out of that situation."
Yeah.
But, we went to school together there for a little bit. I took some classes
Oh.
in Birmingham, um, and we would drive in together. And it was, I mean, again, my dad's in his early 60s, I guess, at this point,
I
and
love
he and
that.
I are driving into college together. I'm getting my bachelor's, he's getting his teaching certificate,
I
and
love that.
we're just driving in, driving in. We park. All right, see you a little bit later. All right, see you later. And we leave.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
actually quite special. A lot of people don't have a great relationship with their parents for all the reasons that one can imagine. But
Yeah.
um, my I grew up Catholic, so cradle Catholic.
Yeah.
They they this is before Vatican II, so they were Catholic, but they came from Church of Christ and Baptist, Southern Baptist, and they
Okay.
became Catholic together.
Hmm.
And so they got married in the church, and this is back when it was all in Latin, and the priest faced away from you,
Hmm.
etc. But they knew Latin, so because they grew up learning Latin, so it wasn't that foreign. Like if someone spoke Latin today, I'd get about a little of it, maybe an eighth of what they're saying.
Mhm.
But they grew up that way. So they got married in the church and they were married for 62 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Imagine
wonderful.
62 years. I'm at 32 today. I mean,
Wow. I'm
Michael
at
and I have another,
21, and
we have
people
another
still say
30 to
21
go.
is
21's a good number. 21's a
Yeah.
good number. No, it is.
Yeah.
I think anything, if you could get past, I think you can get past the single digits.
Mhm.
You know, if you can get past, because marriages are just like any other relationship. You're gonna have good times and bad times. It's
Yeah.
just
It's
life.
a choice.
Yeah, it's. I think when I talk to younger couples, especially men, I'll tell them, I'm like, your wife's gonna come home one day and have this dumbest idea ever, and it's your choice to either go along with it or to not. It's a
Mhm.
choice. So when people tell me that they grew apart, I'm like, no, you didn't grow apart at once. You grew apart because you stopped supporting each other.
Yeah.
So your wife comes home and says, I want to go cake decorating. You have a choice. That's stupid. Or I don't know anything about that. Let's go. Let's get into it. Your husband comes home. He's bought a Harley and he wants to go out riding every Saturday. Again, you have a choice. Okay, that's cool. Maybe let's get another one so I can go with you. Or, I think that's stupid and I hope you don't die on the road. Like it's a choice to support your partner. And that choice is it's like micro decisions, tiny little
Yeah.
death by a thousand cuts, marriages, divorces by a thousand cuts. You
Yep.
choose. There's all choices. No one likes to hear that, especially if they're in divorce or
Yeah.
they have been divorced. They don't want to hear that they had a hand in it.
Yeah.
You're nobody's hands are clean. Nobody's hands are not bloody in a divorce.
Yeah.
And a divorce generally takes about 5 years of your life from you.
Yeah.
So, can you work it out?
Mhm.
I think that's one of the things I learned from my parents. Um, my dad wasn't an alcoholic, but would drink, kind of like myself. I'll drink, but I don't have to drink. But
Mhm.
in one of his jobs, the culture was to drink. And
Mm.
so I remember my mom laying down the law. She's like, you can't do that anymore. Like, that's just got to stop. And the next day, this is how hardcore my dad was. The next day, he's like, okay, no more drinking. Just stop drinking. And so
Nice.
whenever he was with, the people at work or whatever, he just like he would say he's on antibiotics, all kinds of excuses until they finally got the point. Okay, he's
Yeah.
not drinking, and it didn't change his career, didn't change anything. He
Yeah.
just, again, that was that change. If you love alcohol more than you love your wife, well, then you stick with alcohol
Yeah.
and you keep drinking, or you try to hide it, etc., whatever. But like she had had enough. She had
Yeah.
had enough, and she just. So I remember because I was living with it. I was in high school, and then I had a fridge. I had my own fridge. So we had a fridge for the family, and then next to it, behind it, I had a fridge for my beer.
Mhm.
Okay, I was 16, and I had my own beer fridge. And I came home,
Wow.
and after this whole thing with alcohol, I came home, and it's Friday or whatever, and I open up the fridge, and there's nothing in the fridge. I'm like, this was stocked, like
Yeah.
stocked with beer.
Wow.
So I said to my mom, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What happened with the beer? What happened to my
Yeah.
alcohol that I've been putting away for a couple of weeks? She's like, oh, your dad stopped drinking. I'm like, yeah, cool, great, good for him. Why is my beer gone?
Yeah.
She's like, he just doesn't want it in the house. I'm like, huh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah. But they bought me a
He
mini,
knew what he wanted.
but they bought me a mini fridge for my room. So
Yeah.
I would keep alcohol in my. I mean, things that parents
Yeah.
right now would never do for their kids. Let's do that. First of all, this era, I think millennials and below, they're just not promiscuous
Yeah.
as kids that grew up in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not needed. Maybe that was never needed.
Yeah.
It's a good question, but I grew up with alcohol, grew up with drugs, grew up with promiscuity being normal.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you were talking a lot about choices. And
yep.
so I'm going to bring it back to my next question, which is if you were forced to change your first name, is there a name that you really like that you would choose and why?
So when I was single, and I would go to bars and all that type of stuff. I would go by Wade Rivers
Hmm,
because it's a good country and
that's
western
cool.
name, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm in Texas. Wade Rivers, Wade. Uh, I like the name. It's just kind of a fun name,
Mm-hmm.
and so especially again, if I don't know somebody, I don't need to kind of just Wade Rivers. Just go with that. So it was an AKA.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got past that phase, I just like, okay, I don't need to do that anymore. But Wade's always been a fascinating name to me.
Okay, cool.
But Wade
Eh,
Wade Rivers is a double entendre. So
yeah, I like it.
no one ever called me. No girl, boy, nobody ever called me on
Yeah.
it. Like no
Okay.
one just, all right, Wade, man, let's get a beer. Like, all right. The whole night I'm going by Wade. Wade, it's your
Yeah.
round. It's like, all right, whatever.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. The awkward part of that by going by the AKA is if you've developed a relationship with either a guy or a girl, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you're a week, 2 weeks into it, and they're still calling you Wade. You're like, ah, man, how do I explain this?
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
how do I get
Gotta fix
myself out of
something.
this? How do I get myself out of this thing that I put myself into? And so
Yeah.
I make a joke of it, like with both men or boys and girls. At the time, I would just say, hey, listen, I don't go by my real name when I'm out.
Yeah.
It's just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a comedic bit. I do this bit, and then I never intended for us to become friends
Hmm.
because I thought it was just a transaction, at a club or a bar or whatever. And we've become friends, so you should know who I am.
Yeah.
And, and most people didn't react to that. It was like, all right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, the 80s were very loose, very,
Yeah.
very loose.
For sure. Well, and
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So, looking at your name, I can't imagine somebody mispronouncing it. I mean, has it been? And if even if it hasn't been, if somebody would mispronounce your name, how would that make you feel? Like, what kind of emotions would you feel inside?
I'd feel like they're stupid.
Mm.
I mean, for the non-English speakers, that's different, right?
Yeah.
So that's a different bit and
Yeah.
very important for someone that's from Spain. Maybe they okay, or from somebody that's German, etc. But if you're an English speaker and you can't pronounce William, there's brain damage. There's
Yeah.
something going on that's a deeper, more significant issue that you should probably worry about
Hmm.
because it is such a popular name historically and otherwise. I would assume that everyone knows at least 10 Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's go through your network, and
Even
you can
just in
get
school, history, William Shakespeare.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not Bill Shakespeare. I think, the spelling sometimes, because, people are typing fast, they get the A and the I mixed up after it. So
Mm.
Will A aim, I guess.
Hmm.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Um, but my wife, her name is Michael,
Okay.
Michal, which, in Hebrew is Michael,
Hmm.
and her last name is Tincup. And so she has a Jewish first name. She's not Jewish. She has an Indian last name, not Indian. So
Hmm.
she's constantly, having to know it. Michael's not with an E, doesn't have an E in it, and Tin Cup is, yeah, it's Cherokee, etc. So she's constantly having to change people's like people don't like. How do you pronounce that? They'll just say Michael
Yeah.
because it's spelled Michal, Michael,
Yeah.
just without the E, but it's it's pronounced that way, but it's not. It has a altogether different meaning. And
Yeah.
so,
Interesting.
but for William, again, I'm making fun of the whole bit, but yeah, if someone can't pronounce William and they're an English speaker,
Yeah.
anyone that's a non English as a second language, etc. Okay, it's a different bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
We've
I
got two
might.
more
I
questions.
I'm so harsh. I might not interact with them after that. Like I'm that guy. Like if you can't pronounce my first name,
Yeah.
whew, we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna have difficulty together.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work for us. Like you just gotta have to learn your strengths and weaknesses. And
Yeah.
I'm one of
Definitely.
those people, very harsh in the sense of you can't coach stupid.
Yeah.
And so if you can't pronounce, I can't help you, son. Like, sorry. That's just,
I
you
love
know,
it.
I love you, but I can't help you. And so I
Yeah.
just cut those people out of my life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I've got two more questions for you.
bring it.
All right. So, and this is kind of, you've already touched on this
Sure,
really early in our conversation, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more, the question
sure.
is, do you think the meaning of your name, resolute protector or strong-willed warrior, do you think that has any relevance on the way that you act or the way that you see the world around you? And if so, how?
If you were to have told me that when I was in my teens or 20s, it wouldn't have changed anything because I'd have still been the same person. It
Mm,
fits like a glove. Like it's
mm,
one of those things you hear and you're like, "Yep, checks." Like it really does check off because that's how I am. I mean, you can see
yeah.
how harsh I am in the way that I talk. Harsh but fair. I try to be at least.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I am very strong-willed and a fierce, kind of a fierce. Some people have actually told me this in the past that like interacting with me is formidable, and I've taken it as a compliment, but it
Uh-huh.
probably wasn't served up as a compliment. probably they probably didn't mean it as a compliment, but I took it as like, yeah, yeah, that checks.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and it's because I have expectations, higher expectations of people, and I don't like to be disappointed. So it's just one of those deals. I can be a bit rigid there,
Yeah.
which is not great. Again, none of this, not some of this is not positive. I'm actually walking out a bunch of character flaws, but yeah, I will if when you deal with like fiercely protective, I will get out at a stoplight and beat someone half to death if needed. I'm that guy.
Okay. So
So
I'm gonna try to drive next to you anyway. I'm gonna make
I'm driving a car in anger, ready for something to happen. Like,
gotcha.
but I'm not that way. I mean, it's interesting, Jimmy, because I'm not that way conversationally too.
Hmm.
I'm always on the defensive. I'm ready.
Mm.
Someone comes after me, I take them out. Like
Mm.
I remember early days of social media, people trolls would come at because I'll say something and it'd be a little bit have a little edge to it
Yeah.
because I'm opinionated. Okay, so it would have a little edge, and okay, that's it. And somebody that would come after me, I would just rip their knees out, and it was just like, and I did it publicly, like, yeah, you're not going to get away with this, and no one else that tries this is going to get away with this. Now,
Yeah.
again, I have less friends. Maybe my behavior has had something to do with that.
You've got great self-awareness. This is perfect.
Yeah, maybe because I will tell someone, and this is because I'm an advisor to a lot of startups.
Hmm.
Um, when someone asks me, "Okay, I really want to know what you think," I stop and I go, "Hold up. Do you really want to know what I think? Because you're
Yeah.
soliciting advice, you're soliciting opinion, and I only have one gear,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, but you might be crying after this. So,
Yeah.
do you really want this feedback?" Almost all the time they say, "Yeah."
That's a good
And
morning.
it's one of those deals, and my business partner, when he's on the phone call with me and he hears that, he's like, "Oh, shit. This is about to go sideways fast." But I'll tell them my version of the truth, and then they
Yeah.
can then deal with that as they like.
Yeah.
I'll back it up with logic and, facts and all that type of stuff, but basically, if you ask my opinion now, I won't give an unsolicited opinion. I'm not
Hmm.
that guy. Um, but if someone asks me for my opinion, be careful
Yeah.
for what you ask. And that's just true of all people, by the way.
Yeah.
But nice people, people that are inherently kind and nice and empathetic, wouldn't go for your jugular.
Hmm.
If my advice goes for your jugular, that's just what it was meant to do.
Yeah.
I can't change that.
That's who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good and bad.
Yeah.
Some people like that unvarnished. Some people I think some people are like, "I want your feedback, but I really just want your positive feedback because I've
Yeah.
worked really hard, I'm tired, and I just wanna hear people say good things about what I've built."
Yeah.
And if that's the case, cool, I can do that. Like, I'm
Yeah. They just
happy
have to
giving
be particular, specific with you of what kind of feedback they
100%.
want from you. Yeah.
Well, and feedback is it's a 4 box, right? Boston Consulting Group, just a 4 box. It's either positive or negative, and it's either solicited or unsolicited. That's
Hmm.
it. That's all feedback ever.
Yeah.
It fits into one of those boxes. So when someone solicits my feedback, my default is I'm going to give you my version of the truth.
Yeah.
Now, that might come out positive or might
Yeah.
come out negative. I don't try to balance things out. I mean, some people, I think conscientious people, people with empathy, I think they try to balance those. I'm going to give you some positive, I'm going to give you some negative. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't even think about it. Like it just doesn't hit my radar, which again, you asked for my opinion. I gave
Hmm.
you the warning. There
Yeah.
was a disclaimer.
For sure.
Yeah,
Well, leads perfectly into my last question. So,
sure.
so when I first started my podcast 2 years ago, I wanted to know what famous books were saying about names, like the significance of names.
Right.
And so I Googled what is the best-selling book of all time. Happens to be the Bible.
Turns
I've
out,
interviewed over 120 people from all spectrums of religious, non-religious beliefs. So
right?
any answer is fine. I'm just looking to
Right.
get your opinion. My question is, so in the Bible, there's actually
Mhm.
quite a few people where it mentions that their names were changed. And
Yes.
depending on the person that you're
Saul,
looking at,
Paul. Yeah.
yeah, there's Saul to Paul, and
Yeah.
then in Genesis, God tells Abram, your name is
Yep.
going to be Abraham, and you're going to change
Hmm.
your wife's name from Sarah to Sarah. So I'm just
Yeah.
curious, what is your opinion about why the Bible even mentions that their names were changed instead of just starting with their new name?
Well, the and this so when I was 13, 14, I read the Torah, the Holy Quran, and the Bible cover to
Hmm.
cover,
Wow.
and I read them at the same time. So I'd read, for 3 hours on the Torah, 3 hours on the Quran, 3 hours on the Bible, and so I
Interesting.
read them simultaneously, basically to learn. I mean, I grew up Catholic, am Catholic, um, but I wanted to learn kind of what other people were seeing and how things were written. And so I think with the Bible in particular, Saul to Paul is the conversion. So there's the reason that happens is important for people to understand that you can be a different person and choose a different outcome, and you can convert. It's okay. Like there
Hmm.
was a permission that was given, and again, all the stories of Saul, then all the stories of Paul. And so you can kind of, I think, as a Christian, you can kind of read that and go, yeah, I can, like in my life, I can do a bunch of stuff that's negative, right? But I can ask for forgiveness and I can be forgiven and I can change. I don't have to change my name, but I do need to recognize what I've done and ask for forgiveness. Now, in the case of Abram to Abraham, I think that there's a story there as well. And I think that Abraham, I think, is a figure that comes up in the Torah and in the Holy Quran.
Hmm.
So that might have been a situation to make it more popular. Abram was a less known name.
Hmm.
It was a variation, but it was a lesser known name. And so I
Yeah.
think that might have been an attempt to make it a little bit more personalized, make it a little more popular. And I mean, he's an extremely important figure in all of Christianity.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I I think there's an Ellis Island story that's really fascinating where people come in through Ellis Island in the from 1910 to 1960, and they get their names changed because the people that are doing the bit, they hear what they hear, and it's like, and also people wanted to assimilate, or they wanted to, if they were German, they wanted to make it easier to come into America and become American. I
Yeah.
think I think that still happens, by the way.
Hmm.
So for Indian tribes, that happened when they did the Dawes Rolls, where they went around tribe by tribe and they, ask you your name, and then you'd be speaking Sioux or Cherokee or Creek or whatever, and they would just shortcut. Yeah, that sounded like Tin Cup. So
Yeah.
my great great grandfather was named Mouse Tin Cup. Prior to him, it's all Cherokee.
Oh, wow.
So the interesting part of like where did Tin Cup come from? And the three versions that we got is Tinka is a Cherokee word for fire. Okay, so there's that. Maybe that's something. Tin cup was also something that people rattled in jail,
Hmm.
and tin cup was also something that if you're begging, you begged with a tin cup, and so
Hmm.
you got change from people. No one in my family knows. It just appears,
Hmm.
and they went on the Trail of Tears, so it first appears on the Trail of Tears. But
Interesting.
before that, it's all Cherokee.
Okay.
On that side of my father's side, my father's side. It all goes back. That's why Tin Cup is important to me, and I have two boys. Their last names are Tin Cup as well. Um,
Hmm.
it's important for that name to move forward
Gotcha.
because there's not that many of us out there. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, some of the tin cups that were in Oklahoma moved to California during the Dust Bowl. So there's a contingent out in California of tin cups, and there's a contingent in North Carolina. Some of the people that didn't go on the trail tiers that went up in the mountains and hid,
Hmm.
and then there's some folks in northeastern Oklahoma. Uh, so there's three kind of contingents, and it's interesting. Like it's such a unique last name that like when I'm looking for a medical record or something like that, it's not like, gee, I wonder if I'm going to be able to find it. Tin cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's none other in there. Okay, we're good. So
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
I like your answer. Very cool. Thank you for answering all my
sure.
questions.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for me?
What was the meaning? You told me briefly what the meaning of your name, Jama.
Yeah, it ultimately means paradigm shifter or
Ooh.
supplanter. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. You feel like that's accurate?
I do. I when I learned the meaning of my name, it helped me make sense of why I view things from so many different perspectives. I'm very analytical.
Uh,
Um, and I kind of actually struggled with it. I'm really good at my job by being analytical, but
Right. Right.
it helped me make sense of like, okay, I think there's more like your name. I think there's some influence in the like
100%.
I have a few theories, and I think the meaning of your name does have some influence in who you are or who you become or
Right.
who you could become. So
Kind of
I
makes sense of
yeah.
things.
Yes, it helped me make sense of things. So yeah.
Yeah, it's astrologically like I'm a Virgo as well. So it's interesting kind of the some of the things that Virgos are known for
Hmm.
also fit. Like
Yeah.
I didn't read it like in Vogue to find out like, okay, how should I
Yeah.
behave and treat people, et cetera, all that stuff. Like I just was me.
Yeah.
And but I read it now, I go back and read it like just like this segment as well. It's like it's reinforced, like, yeah, that checks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Totally checks out. Like, yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I think is helpful.
Yeah.
You know,
For
it's
sure.
super helpful because it reinforces like, yeah, if you were struggling, stop
Hmm.
struggling. Stop struggling.
Yeah.
You don't need to struggle.
Yeah, that's why I did the podcast because I think if it helped me, I'm like, maybe it could help somebody else. So,
Oh, 100%. 100%.
yeah.
I like it personally. I like it from a belonging perspective
Yeah.
and getting to know people because, you know, especially non-native speakers, the first question you ask is, how do you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Right. You know, I was
Hmm.
interviewing a guy, Jasani, but it had an N on the front of it. So I was trying to
Hmm.
pronounce the N. And
Hmm.
I said, all right, I'm going to butcher this. So let's just kind of get there faster. Tell me how to pronounce this.
Yeah.
And he said, just take away the N, Jasani. I go, okay, got it, done. And we podcast, not a problem.
Nice.
I like asking people, you know, I'm
Yeah.
curious because my mother taught me about where names come from, like Vaughn and Van, where they historically come from.
Hmm.
And so, like, I grew up, like, she would explain, okay, that name, yeah, that Smith, yeah, it's a 13th century thing in England where people's names became their jobs. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, that was the bit. Baker, Smith, this, that, the other. That's where you got your name. And
Yeah.
so that education very early on was really important to me to like understand like when somebody says their name's Smith, not to make fun of it. Oh, your name's Smith, like you and all the
Yeah.
other Smiths. No, it comes from a place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I find it interesting for sure.
it's it's a great way to think about inclusion because if you're on a team to include them, you need to know how to pronounce their name
100%.
and then to be able to understand the importance of their name, where it came from, etc. It's just like welcoming everybody into your team.
Could not agree more.
Yep.
Um,
So there you go.
awesome.
That's that's all I know.
Well, thank you, William. It's been a great conversation. I really appreciate it and
Vice versa.
appreciated learning all of the information you gave me. It was great.
Well, there you go. Thank you for having me as a guest. I appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe or follow the podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps me continue bringing you meaningful conversations with remarkable guests. Don't forget to tune in next time for more insightful discussions and inspiring stories. Until then, thank you for listening and keep striving to make a positive impact wherever you are. And don't forget to tap into the meaning of your own name to find a deeper sense of confidence in your purpose.